Hey everyone and welcome. Today, we're diving into one of the most famous and maybe one of the most misunderstood phrases in history, a single sentence that has shaped what people believe for centuries. What on earth did Jesus actually mean when he talked about the kingdom of God?
So the verse we're zeroing in on is Luke 17:21. It's got this huge statement about the kingdom of God, but its entire meaning really pivots on just a couple of words, and those words have created a deep mystery that you and I we're going to solve together today. And here is the heart of the problem. On one hand, you've got the classic King James Version, which I'm sure you've heard. It says the kingdom is within you, but then you have other translations like the New World Translation saying it's in your midst. So which is it? Is it a personal feeling in your heart, or is it an active reality happening among a group of people? This, my friends, is our biblical detective story.
Okay, so with any good mystery, where do you start? You look for clues, right? And the biggest clue of all, the one that changes everything, is the context. Specifically, who was Jesus actually talking to? This is crucial.
So who was in the audience? Well, it wasn't his friends or his disciples. He was speaking directly to the Pharisees. And you got to remember who these guys were. They were his most vocal critics, the ones who were actively trying to trip him up. Now keep that in your back pocket because it's about to cause a huge problem for that within you idea.
So let's lay out the evidence. Exhibit A. Jesus looks these guys, his opponents, right in the eye and says, according to the King James, "Behold, the kingdom of God is within you." Now, at first glance, you might think, wow, he's telling them they have this amazing spiritual potential inside. But hold on a second.
Because then we have Exhibit B. Elsewhere, in the book of Matthew, Jesus is talking to the exact same group, the Pharisees, and he says this to them. He flat out accuses them of shutting the door to the kingdom in people's faces. And not only that, but that they weren't going in themselves either.
So, do you see the problem here? It's a massive contradiction. How could the kingdom possibly be inside the hearts of the very people he just said were actively locking it up and throwing away the key? It just doesn't make any sense, does it? Something is definitely not right here, which means we have to dig a little deeper.
All right, this is where our detective story gets really interesting. It's time to pull out the magnifying glass and look at the linguistic forensics. When a translation seems to contradict the context so badly, you've got to go back to the source code, the original language.
And that original Greek phrase is entos, hymōn. Now here's the kicker. That little phrase is a bit of a shapeshifter. It can mean within you, like something personal inside your heart, but, and this is a big but, it can also mean in the midst of you or among you, talking about a group. So we have two options. Which one makes sense when you're talking to a hostile audience? Well, it's got to be the one that doesn't create a massive, glaring contradiction.
And that leads us to a whole new way of looking at this, a new theory of the case, if you will. What if Jesus wasn't talking about some internal fuzzy feeling at all? What if he was making a jaw-dropping statement about a reality that was staring them right in the face?
And we see him do this elsewhere. Look at this other time he says, "If I'm casting out demons by the finger of God, then you'd better believe the kingdom of God has come upon you." See that language? Come upon you. It's not something that seeped into them. It was a power and authority that was active right there among them, whether they liked it or not.
So let's just connect the dots. It's simple logic, really. Step 1. The king himself, Jesus, the anointed ruler, was standing right there. He was physically present. Step 2. He was doing the things a king does, exercising authority, performing miracles. So, step 3. What's the only possible conclusion? The kingdom itself had to be present. It was literally in their midst.
But here's where the story takes a really wild turn. You see, the Pharisees thought they were fighting him, that they were winning. But in a move of cosmic irony, their opposition was actually playing a key part in God's much bigger plan.
I mean, check out this ancient prophecy from the Psalms. It basically says that earthly rulers will get together and plot against God and his chosen king. But what's God's response? Is he worried? Not at all. The text says, "He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh." Their little rebellion was, from heaven's perspective, almost, well, funny. It was never a threat.
And here it is, the ultimate irony. Their biggest move, their supposed checkmate, having Jesus crucified, was the very act that unlocked God's entire purpose. The Apostle Paul basically says, look, if they had any clue what they were actually doing, they never would have crucified the Lord of glory. They thought they were stopping him, but they were actually just fulfilling the script.
Okay, so let's bring it all home.
Let's gather all our clues, the audience, the original words, the things Jesus was doing, and even this incredible divine plot twist, and lay out the final verdict for our case.
So, when you put all the pieces together, it's pretty clear. Jesus was not giving the Pharisees a compliment about their inner spiritual life. No way. He was making a bold, in-your-face declaration. He was saying, the kingdom isn't a feeling you need to find inside yourselves. It's standing right here in front of you. And why? Because I, the king, am here. And on top of that, every single thing they did to try and stop it was just being expertly redirected by God to accomplish his will.
Now, it's important to make one last little distinction. Just because the king was present didn't mean the kingdom was, fully installed with the new government and everything right then and there. That final installation, well, the timing for that was still in God's hands. What they were seeing was a preview, a powerful demonstration of the authority to come.
And that just leaves us with this one kind of mind-blowing thought to chew on. We just saw how focusing on one simple detail, who was in the audience, can flip the entire meaning of a really famous verse. It just makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other truths that we all think we know are actually hiding a totally different story, just waiting for us to ask the right questions?